Simon, it takes so many more calls to close a deal. Simon, my pipeline is drying up. Simon, what got me to 2 million in revenue is now damaging how I get to 5 million. Simon, it doesn't work anymore. My sales successes don't work anymore in this new world. And I said, okay, guys, I hear you. I'm going to call Marcus Sheridan. He is the guy who just wrote 7 weeks ago. He just wrote Endless Customers. So if he can't help us, I don't know. So welcome, Marcus Sheridan, everyone.
Simon, I am so happy to be here during a time of tremendous change. So we have a lot to discuss.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. By the hour, everything changed. And still, the listeners, they want endless customers. Where should they
Everybody
start?
does. Well, if you want endless customers, where it starts is you have to be willing to disrupt. You have to be willing to break the rules of your industry. In every industry, there's unwritten rules of the way we do sales, the way we do marketing, the way we do CX, customer service, and you got to be willing to be different. So the whole payoff of Endless Customers, the book, is this idea of or helping you to become the most known and trusted brand in your market. And the way you do that is four things. Now, before I say the four things, let's talk about why we're struggling so much, because you were talking about, I was like, why is there such a struggle? Let's just lay a couple things out there. Number one, November 2022, ChatGPT comes out, shakes up the whole world. I've been calling it since then because if you look at the search experience today, every single day, literally, you have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that are moving over from traditional Google search to AI-based search, where they're getting immediate answers. And so therefore, they're not clicking on a blue link anymore to get their answers. And I was just talking to my 18-year-old daughter the other day, and I said, do you use ChatGPT a lot? She says, I love chat. I said, well, how do you use it? And she said some things that just really surprised me. She said, instead of going to Amazon and searching, I ask Amazon for the specific link for the specific product that I'm looking for with the best reviews, and it gives me the link. And I hadn't even thought about that. So, so if you look at that one example right there, what's happening? Well, Amazon is a huge search engine in and of itself, but even Amazon is losing traditional traffic that they were getting before because people like my 18-year-old daughter are going directly to the link. 60% of all Google searches now end up in no click at all, over 60%, which is pretty extraordinary. So nobody's clicking on those blue links, right? And so this is only going to continue. I actually posted today. You need to act like you need to assume or just literally pretend right now, because it could be a reality. Just assume for a second that you're not going to get any traffic from Google search ever again. Okay, let's just assume that for a second. Now, prepare your marketing strategy going forward as if you're never going to get any traffic from Google again. Whether or not that happens, at least you're going to be prepared. And you're not going to be built on one solo pillar, which is Google search. For 20 plus years, all we had to do to be great at lead generation, sales, digital selling, all we had to do, make our customers happy and make Google happy. That's all. That's really all we had to do. The way we made Google happy was twofold. Number one, we did it through great content in SEO. And number two, we did it through paid ads. And what happens in a world where suddenly SEO and all those paid ads don't really work like they used to? Well, you've got to have a known and trusted brand, hence endless customers. And that's why I wrote the book.
I love this. And that's exactly what's happening. So it's the new thing. There are four pillars. We cannot rely on just making customers happy, making Google happy. Where do we start?
Yeah, yeah. So let's just look at the mindset that you have to have as a company. The first pillar of a known and trusted brand today in this AI era that we're a part of. And if you want to get AI recommendations going forward, which is going to be a huge catalyst to your success, because if AI doesn't notice you, you're in trouble. You're going to be in big, big trouble. And the companies we know, because we have the data, the companies that are following the stuff that I'm about to tell you, they're the ones that are doing the best when it comes to AI recommendations. And oh, by the way, AI is only going to get better and better at recommending the right company for you. It's going to get you in the future. Two people can do the exact same search side by side, asking AI a question about, what is the best company for such and such? And you're going to actually get two potentially different answers. And the reason for that is because it's going to individualize the answers to you. So, pillar number one of a known and trusted brand, you got to be willing to say online what others in your space aren't willing to say. I would ask you, if you're listening to this right now, what specifically are you talking about online that most of your competitors aren't willing to discuss, aren't willing to lean into? And if you're not willing to do that, you ain't going to stand out. I'm just going to tell you straight out. So that's number one. Number two pillar, you got to be willing to show what
Can it be
others in your space.
negative, positive? Doesn't matter.
Yes. Yeah, and we can dig into that. We'll absolutely dig into it. How about this? Let's hit the four real quick and let's dig into each
Mm-hmm.
one and we'll give some really good specific examples. So number two is you got to be willing to show with video what others aren't willing to show. Number three, you've got to be willing to sell in a way that others aren't willing to sell. And number four, you've got to be more human than others in your space are willing to be. Those are the four pillars of a known and trusted brand in this AI era. So you asked, Simon's like, does that include negatives? So here's what we know to be true when it comes to the way people search online. And I wrote about this a lot in They Ask You Answer. Uh, and now it's certainly in Endless Customers because this is an evergreen principle. There's five subjects that we obsess about when we're researching a thing, when we want to buy something. Product, service, B2B, B2C, doesn't matter. What are the five subjects? Number one, we want to understand how much is it? Cost, pricing, budget, etc. We want to understand what denotes value for that particular thing. So that's number one. Number two, we want to know what could go wrong or the problems, the negatives. What are the objections here? So in other words, if somebody has a really strong fear, we need to address that. Number three, comparisons. People love to compare stuff online. Product versus product, company versus company, method versus method. I mean, just the list goes on and on. Option versus option. So we love to compare stuff online. Number four, reviews. We're obsessed with reviews. The thing about reviews, we don't just want the good reviews, we want the bad reviews too. And in
Mm,
fact, if we can't find any bad reviews, we're concerned. And number
spooky.
five, yep, best. Best, most, top. We're obsessed with that. Just think about how many times have you gone online and researched phrases like best such and such, most such and such, top such and such. So these are the five: costs, problems, comparisons, reviews. Best. They aren't changing. They're as relevant today as they have ever been. And still, in the year 2025 AD, businesses don't want to talk about them, which is crazy. And so, most of the people listening to this right now, if I said to you, when it comes to your content online, articles, videos, etc., how much of your content is related to these five things? And most people would say, well, if I'm being honest, Marcus, not very much. And that's not okay. I mean, not if you want to be the most known and trusted brand.
I love this. Where do we double click first? Oh,
I think, well, here's what I think. A lot of people are listening to this right now and saying, but you don't understand, Marcus. My situation's different. My business is different. That would never work for me. I can tell you right now, the companies, and I've spoken all over the world at this point. This is what I do. I talk to businesses of all types, all the time, all over the world. And I can tell you, the ones that come from this place of, but we're different, this doesn't apply to us, we're special, they don't do anything extraordinary. They
sales is
just don't.
sales. Yeah.
They're living in the past. And so if you just heard me say those five things, you're like, well, I can't talk about price. Okay, I'll play that game. Let's roll. So if I came to you, Simon, and if I said to you, when you're on a website and you're looking for cost and price information, which you've done hundreds of times in your life, okay? When you're looking for cost and price information and you cannot find it, what is the emotion you experience? You'd say, I get frustrated, I get angry, I get upset. And that's every buyer, that's every consumer. And if I said to you, so in that moment of frustration, do you say, oh, I'm just going to keep on looking on this website until I find it? No, you don't do that. That would be ridiculous because you aren't going to just stay there knowing it ain't there. You're going to quickly move on. If I said to you, are you going to say to yourself, well, that's okay. They're not talking about cost and price. They're a value-based business. I'm sure every job is different. I'm going to call them on the phone instead. No, you don't call them on the phone instead. What do? You keep searching and you search until what happens, until you find what you're looking for. And generally speaking, whoever gives you what you were looking for, they're going to get your business. And if not your business, they're going to get first contact, first phone call. And I'm sure we could all agree that we as a company would rather be the first one contacted. Now, if I said to everybody listening to this right now, but are you talking a lot about cost and price on your website right now? Most would say, well, no. And again, they would say, but you don't understand, Marcus. And I would reply, yes, yes, I do. There's actually three major reasons why companies say they can't talk about cost and price online. First major reason is they say every job is different. It's very customized. It's bespoke. And that is actually the easiest to answer online because instead of looking at it like that, you need to address five really just core questions. Number one, what drives the cost of your product or service up in your industry? What drives the cost of that product or service down? That's number two. Number three, why are some companies so expensive? Number four, why are some companies so cheap? Right? You've really defined value there. And finally, number five, roughly, where do you fall? Okay. And so now you're giving people a very clear sense for things. And which, by the way, the number one question that somebody has when they enter the buyer's journey, the moment they know they need to buy something, they have a problem, they got to solve it, they got to buy something. First question, always the same. Doesn't matter, B2B, B2C, roughly, how much is this going to cost me? That's the first question. Now, second reason why companies say they can't talk about cost and price is they say, well, I don't want my competitors to see it, which is really silly because if I asked anybody that's listening to this right now, so do you have a pretty good sense as to what your competitors charge? You'd say, yes, of course. So if you have a good sense as to what your competitors charge, it therefore means they have a good sense as to what you charge. You see, this is the big secret, non-secret. And besides that, when was the last time your competitors paid your bills? You do not base decisions of trust on what the competition is or is not doing. You should be leading, not following, proactive, not reactive. Third reason why companies don't like to talk about cost and price is they say, well, we're more expensive. If we're more expensive, they might get scared. And we might scare them away. The thing that scares us away online when we're researching, when we're in the buying process, is when we can't find it. When we can't find information. Ignorance is not bliss online. That's the third fundamental reason. Now, what's wild about this is there's people listening to this right now that are still saying, yeah, but I'm not buying it. I have worked with companies now and created for companies, helped create with all of our clients, hundreds and hundreds of pieces of content about cost and price. And across the board, in the majority of industries, it's the number one traffic, lead, and sales generating content by far. It's number one. It's number one. And yet most companies will listen to this and they'll still try to convince themselves that their situation is different.
Yes, they always say that, but it's not. So let's double click. We heard we should say what others don't say because that creates transparency. And you want to be the place where honesty, truth happens. We see there is a
Yep.
longing for that, right?
Yep.
We show what others don't show. Video, price, again, transparency, right? How do we sell in a way that others don't sell?
All right. All right. All right. I feel this one, Simon. So I'm particularly excited about some of the trends that are happening here. The most important stat when it comes to sales today is this one right here. And everybody listen, please. 75% of all buyers today say they would prefer to have a seller-free sales experience. 75% of all buyers. You know, the 25% that say, I don't want that, that's your grandmother probably, right? And so What does this mean? It means that we don't hate salespeople. We just don't want to talk to them until we're good and ready, until we're confident, comfortable, informed, until we feel like we're not going to make a mistake. So, if this is true, which it is, I didn't make it up. I'm not smart enough to do that. Gartner said it. So, and it, inherently, it just makes sense, right? Like, yeah, of course, I want to feel like I'm in control. What you need to do as a business is embrace the trend and offer what is known, and I talk about this a lot in Endless Customers, self-service. And self-service are interactive tools online, especially on your website, that give people answers or allow them to take actions that previously they would have had to have done by speaking with a human first. So, what is the best example of selling in a way that others aren't willing to sell? Well, through drum roll. And if you didn't like the thing I said about pricing before, you're going to hate this now. Pricing estimators. Pricing estimators. So there's different levels of discussing pricing online. You could have a page on your site that's really explaining it very well with text. That's great. That's more than most. You could have a video that's explaining it more than most. That's great. That's even better. But then you could have a pricing estimator. So a pricing estimator, otherwise known as a calculator, but you got to keep in mind that this is not a quote tool. The problem is when people think about price, they think, well, I have to give my exact price. No, you don't. Stop thinking like that. You have to teach value and address the question roughly, how much is this going to cost? And so, if you look at a pricing estimator, I believed in this movement so much. I could see clearly the writing on the wall. Pricing transparency is so much more the future. Call for quote has become the middle finger of the internet. People hate it, they cannot stand it. And so I said, pricing estimators are the future. I'm going to start a pricing estimator company. And I looked around at what the market had. I said, there's nothing here very good. Most of them are very complex, they're expensive, and there's an opportunity. So I created a company called Price Guide. It's a software. PriceGuide.ai is the website. And how Price Guide works, it allows you as a business to quickly, easy, and cost effectively create a pricing estimator in 30 minutes or less and have it up and working on your website. Now, this is what makes it so magical. And we have, again, the data on this of now hundreds and hundreds of customers. And here's what we see that when somebody adds a pricing estimator to their website, generally speaking, they get a 3 to 500% lift. A 3 to 500% lift in conversions from their website. Now, when we started this conversation, Simon, you said people come to me and they're like, I got a lead problem. The first thing that you can do to help solve your lead problem is by putting a pricing estimator on your website. And so I can tell you this right now. 90% of all service-based businesses are going to have a pricing estimator on their website within the next 5 years. You can take it to the bank, okay? Why is this going to happen? Well, one of the things that people don't understand about AI, Simon, is you, Simon, me, Marcus, we're going to have our own AI agents that we send out to the world, right? And let's say I'm looking for a new swimming pool, for example. I will say to AI, all right, I want you to go find the best local swimming pool contractors. I want you to base it on like any information that you can find on reviews. I want you to come back to me and with a full report. I'd also like general prices as to what I could expect so I can set my budget. And from that, I will reach out to these companies. And then your AI agent will go out there, all right, and it'll come back to you, 30 seconds later or whatever it is. It's going to come back to you and it's going to say, okay, Simon, I researched your 50 local companies. I looked at every single one of their websites. I looked at all of their online reviews. I found the top 10 companies that were in that group. Now, from those 10, there was only 3 of them that had a pricing estimator. I went ahead and got a price estimate from each one. So therefore, here's the 3 companies I recommend. Here's the reviews they've gotten. Here are the price estimates that I got from each one. Here's their contact information. Who would you like to contact first? That's your future, people. That's
Love
it.
this. Yeah.
That's your future. So uh, I would ask you, do you want to be one of those 3? What's going to happen with a lot of people that are listening to this, Simon, sadly, is they're going to wait for their competitor to do this. And they're going to say, oh my goodness, Mark has mentioned this. And they haven't taken action yet. You know, we were the first fiberglass pool manufacturer in the world to have a pricing estimator on our website. And it gives a big range. Yeah, like you might go on there to riverpoolsandspas.com and you might find that you can get a pool between 100 and $150,000, let's say. But that is more than 99% of manufacturers are willing to give you. And that's how you have to start thinking, regardless of the type of business you are. Bold, underlined, italicized, please, regardless of your business type.
I love this. I love this. So that was question number three, pillar number three:
Yeah,
sell what others don't sell. And then number four is
be more
more
human.
human. In the age of AI,
Yeah.
that's the uniqueness, right? How can we be
A
more
lot of ways
human?
that you can do this. You don't have to say, I'm going to be more human and therefore I'm going to use technology less. If you use the tech the right way, you are going to be way more human. So, for example, Simon, you've got a pod. This podcast is listened by a lot of people. You meet people that come to your events, that reach out to you, and they tell you, I know, you don't even have to tell me. They tell you, Simon, I feel like I already know you. That's because this podcast humanizes you and your brand. So podcasting is a great way to be more human. Now, when you do video, are you putting yourself out there or is it nothing but like B-roll? And is it like these AI generated scenes that have nothing to do with your business? That's not going to work. You want to really show the people behind the brand. So you can do this with video. Your sales team, when they're sending out emails, are those text-based emails or are they video-based emails, like one-to-one email, like you see with Loom or Vidyard or Wistia or BombBomb, these different types of tools. It's crazy to me. We've had electronic mail now for almost the better part of 27, 28 years, and we're still sending text-based emails. Come on, people, let's go. So, how about video-based emails from your sales team? I know my sales teams send out video-based emails, and they get much better results. Or let's take it a stretch even further. Let's say we're using the most forward-thinking tech. Let's say you come to the Riverpools website, and we're going to have this year. It's going to happen this year. Come to the Riverpools website, and you're welcomed by somebody that looks like, let's say, like me. And it's like, hey, I'm Digital Marcus. I'm not the real Marcus, but I'm using his brain and all the content his company has ever produced to teach you about swimming pools and answer any questions. And so you can ask me any question out loud, or you can type it in that little chat box right now, and I'll answer it for you. Or if you would like, we can have a conversation. I can even give you a real-time estimate. So that's an
I
AI avatar. And that's happening right now. And that is a way to very much humanize because some people would say, well, that doesn't feel very human to me. Okay. All right, let me argue that point. So would you rather somebody go on your website and read just a bunch of words, or would you rather them have a conversation with your avatar that's using everything that you've ever written or everything that you've ever said over video? It looks like you, it sounds like you, smells like you. I mean, it looks like you, I'm telling you. They're going to say, wow, you look just like the guy I've been talking to this whole time on your website. So which one's more human? I would argue having an avatar is more human. And these are things that are going to be normal in the future. But I talk about them right now, and people are like, "Oh, that's crazy." Just like Zoom at one time was crazy. We saw it on Star Trek. We're like, "Wow, imagine the day when you can like have a video conversation with someone that's on the other side of the world." Well, that's what's happening with Simon right now, and we take it for granted. He's in Vienna, and I'm in Virginia, two V's there, and yet, lo and behold, real time having this beautiful conversation, and we look like we're right next to each other.
Cars were crazy at some point. The telephone was crazy. So
Everything was
yes, it's
crazy.
happening.
Everything was crazy.
Oh, I love this. And you just came out with this book with these four amazing pillars in there
Mhm.
7 weeks ago. How was the process of writing? How did the writing process of your second book change you?
Well, I one of the struggles that I had was how much do I say specifically about AI advice? It's
Mhm.
very hard to write a marketing book today. I speak a lot about communication as well, leadership and sales communication. That's easy because that's evergreen, ain't going
Right.
away. But anything I say about marketing can and will be held against me in the court of law in 5 years. It's just like,
Or 5 months?
uh, yeah, it could be 5 months, it could be 5 weeks. You know what I'm saying? This is why today when somebody says to me, "So Marcus, what is your preferred AI platform?" I'm like, "Whatever is the best one today." Because it'll change tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's really how it's working. I mean, and at this point, they're all good. And it doesn't like which one's the best for writing. Guess what? You prompt them the right way, they're all good at this point. It doesn't really matter. They're all good. So this is like the challenge of writing this book was how much do I say about AI to give people value? And so what we did is we created a digital companion guide with the book. And in that companion guide, you get a lot of AI advice, yeah, like prompts and stuff like that, tools that I didn't want to put in the book because otherwise it would not be very evergreen. And I set the goal for this book to be valid in 5 years, which I thought was a huge stretch. Even though it's very principle based, my goal, let's make it good for 5 years. And then when I do another one, okay, fourth edition, that's just fine. Right? I mean, that's how you have to think about these things today because it's changing so fast.
Totally. And now that you are on the road bringing out the book, how is this coming along?
Well, it's interesting. The more it's like what people have to understand, there's two different types of authors for the most part. There's authors that tell everybody else's stories, and there's authors that mostly tell their own stories. And it's been an interesting journey for me because when I wrote They Ask You Answer, much of it was just my story. And I could still do that, but I wanted to show how these principles have applied to so many others. So not only have I done it, and I've lived it. I've watched other companies do it and live it as well. This is why Endless Customers is a system. It's like EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System. It's a system that you can follow to become the most known and trusted brand in your market. I mean, it gives you a plan. And so when you have a plan, you're much more likely to do it versus just some vague teachings. And so, it forced me to organize my thoughts. And as you go about and you're talking about a book or you're talking about teachings, what's really fascinating is you just get better at communicating the thing. You get cleaner, you get crisper. You also realize things that you missed in the book. That's always sad. It's like you're like, man, that was good. Why did I not talk about that in the book? That should have been in there. Oh, geez, I guess I have to wait 5 years for that. That's always frustrating. And so that's why I have LinkedIn though, because I put any thoughts that are coming to me. Let me give you an example of something that I said recently on LinkedIn that I didn't put in the book, but I believe it to be true, which is your YouTube page very likely will be more important to your brand than your website within the next 5 years.
Why?
Well, think about it for a second. Those that are on YouTube have built a really strong YouTube brand right now. Guess what they're not complaining about? AI. They're not worried like AI has not affected their numbers. It's not affected their views. Those that have built their site on SEO, guess what they're complaining about? AI. Do you see what I'm saying? Which is easier to rank for in search today and actually like get seen? Video or text? Video. YouTube. I mean, it's not close. Which one is arguably much easier to build what would say a community of subscribers? YouTube versus your website. I mean, boom, it's not even close. I mean, it's like the list goes on and on. And as people are using text-based like search experiences, as they're using them less and less, and they're using AI-based search more and more, well, YouTube continues to win. It would not shock me if YouTube was much bigger than than Google's traditional search business within the next like 3 to 5 years. If you think about it, though, Google has been really slow to change. They're just now starting AI-based search. And why? Because they're protecting a previous business model. This is what companies do. When you are making over 200 billion, that's with a B, billion dollars a year in ad revenue from sponsored links. You don't really just want to like shut that down. At the same time, they're not stupid. They see the writing on the wall. And so they're like, oh gosh, we've got to cut our nose off to spite our face. I mean, this is what's happening in Google land right now. Whereas, OpenAI doesn't have to worry about that. They're like, yeah, we didn't have a previous business model. So we're totally fine just putting this out there. And what's happened? People are used to searching without sponsored results and they like it a lot more. So even if OpenAI, for their free users, has sponsored searches in the future, most people are going to spend that $20 a month. That's just going to be it's kind of like your cell phone bill. You just spend it and you're like, because this is way, way better. I mean, come on. All the teenagers are shifting over. And all the teenagers shifted over to YouTube before everybody else did. This is the way that it works every time. Watch the teenagers. That's your future.
So I assume your main strategy now is YouTube in addition to your
Well,
books and
that's
stages?
certainly one of them. And I'm not saying that you should stop producing content on your website, but your website should be foremost interactive tools like a pricing estimator, like recommendation tools, like assessment tools like you'd find with Score App with my friend Daniel Priestley. These are the things that you should have on your website that allow someone to get very bottom of the funnel based answers and have those interactions. Yes, you could still produce that content and put on your site. And yes, there is some value to Google and search in the coming years, but it's going to diminish every single year. And so, yeah, you do have to have that stuff on your site too, so that AI is sourcing your website, so that they're referring people to your site. So now you're trying to get AI recommendations. But the issue is all these pieces of content you're creating, you got to look at them like trust signals that you're sending out to the universe. These trust signals, you put enough together, and AI will say, I trust this company enough to recommend them to my searcher. That's what you want to do. So every video you produce is a trust signal. Every review online about you is a trust signal. Every article you produce, trust signal. These are all trust signals. So unfortunately, marketing just got a lot harder.
Mhm.
And you're not just going to be able to throw money at it and fix the problem like you could with by paying a lot of money on Google search. Every single company that I have talked to this year that has been doing Google search for an extended period of time has told me we're spending more today than we've ever spent and we're seeing less results.
Same here. Yes.
See, a lot of folks are just afraid to say all these things because they're trying to protect their business models. So this is why you have SEO companies and SEO agencies that are not being totally honest with their customers. Or I see people on podcasts saying, "Yeah, I think SEO is going to be fine." I'm like, "What planet
No.
are you living on? You are intellectually dishonest."
Yes.
I
It's
I
over.
mean, I wrote an entire book that many people have said is the best SEO strategy they've ever seen, and they ask you answer. And I'm telling people that you've got to evolve past that.
Absolutely.
I'm not trying to protect that what was there before. I'm not trying to protect it.
When I
What I'm
search
trying to do
you,
is protect you
yeah,
today.
you wrote this legendary book. And when I search you, I my search is not Chrome anymore, it's Perplexity. And so
Hmm.
right now, the first four thing that pop up, there is not even your book there. It's your LinkedIn, and then there is Amazon. But I don't see yet what the book is. Those are the four
Yeah,
things that are happening right now.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
even
I
your
mean,
YouTube channel. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy, right? So you again, none of this is easy, Simon. I'm not saying it's easy, but it is exciting. There is opportunity. I don't see AI as the end. I see it as a new beginning. I'm here for it. I've learned not to sit here and allow my personal opinions to screw up smart business decisions. It doesn't matter whether or not you like AI or where it's going. What matters if you have a business is that you keep the lights on and that you meet the buyer where the buyer is. That is your responsibility, your fiduciary to your employees, to yourself, to your family. So sometimes you got to get over yourself. If you're not into video, if you don't like video, well, too bad. You got to get over yourself. Nobody's ever gone to your website and said, I wish I could see a video on this, but they don't like video, so I'm going to give them a pass. Sorry, it doesn't work like that. They want to see the video. They don't care that you don't think you have a face for video because eventually they're going to see your face and you're going to ask them for their money. And you should have done everything you could do to earn their trust before that point.
Absolutely. I used to hear in sales coaching, yeah, Simon, I don't want to share my WhatsApp with them because what if they don't like WhatsApp? And I say, and my answer was always, if they don't like how you communicate, they probably don't like you right now, and you better know it up front because they will never work with you later on. So I like that you say our fiduciary responsibility is to meet the buyers where
That's
they're
right.
at.
That's right. We meet them where they are. That is business 101. But the moment you sit there and say, no, 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 even though the world's headed in this direction, I'm going to go over here because you're being stubborn, because you're saying I want it the way it used to be, well, then you have a problem. You have a serious problem. And there's a good
So
chance that at that point you're going to be left behind.
they like video, they don't like waiting for to
That's right.
talk to you to get to information. They want to get to information, the pricing, Q&A, pricing calculator, quizzes.
That's right. That's right. Think about the three F's. The three F's. Every buyer wants it to be faster. Okay. The whole experience. So the research experience and the buying experience. Every buyer wants you to remove friction. So any hoops they have to jump over, remove them as quickly as you can. And every buyer wants you to remove fear. Fear. So their doubts, their worries, their concerns, i.e., pricing. Okay? So these are the big three when it comes to innovating with your marketing today in your strategy. Remove friction, remove fear, make it faster. That's the three F's of innovation today.
The big three, everyone: faster, friction, and fear. This
Fear.
might this might become the title of this episode. The big three, everyone. Marcus, what's next for you? Now you're on book tour, you're on stages, you're on podcasts. What's next over the next months for you?
I'm just, I will speak full time until I die on a stage one of these days. It's what I love. I take my family with me all the time to these different places around the world. It's what God put me on earth to do, is to be a teacher. I'm going to continue to write. I've got a few different companies that are really all very aligned with how to connect with your buyer. If you look at Price Guide, that helps you connect quicker with your buyer. If you look at my company Impact, that helps folks do this system, endless customers. But that's about connecting with your buyer. I've got a company called Question First Group that teaches leadership and sales communication, how you can connect with your team when you're standing in front of them, how you ask the perfect question every single time at a meeting, how as a salesperson you can connect within 5 minutes so that they're saying to you, I've never told this to anyone before, but for some reason I feel like I can trust you. See, so these are the different companies that I have, all rooted in that word, connection. And connection's a principle. It's not going away. And I plan on talking about it for a long, long time. It's just that sometimes we call it marketing, sometimes we call it sales, sometimes we call it leadership.
Correct. And in the end, it's always helping the buyer make their best decision, right?
Yeah.
And move forward. I love this. What will you do differently in your book number 3?
Well, I am writing a book right now that is how to have these transformative breakthrough style conversations for leaders and sales teams. But I'm writing it as a business fable, kind of like Five Dysfunctions of a Team, if
Like
you've
the
ever read that
goal,
before. Like the goal,
my
right? That's a
favorite.
good
Yeah.
example. Um, Very challenging to write a book like that. I mean, you
Hmm.
want to talk about a kick in the teeth. Yes, that's very, very hard. But I want to do that because I just want to challenge my own self and I want to put myself in a good position to fail.
And
I
it
love
will
I
be a
love the
wonderful
idea
audiobook
of
that
that.
also your kids, your friends, that everybody
Oh
can
yeah.
listen to.
Yes. That's exactly right. That's how I want it. That's how I want it done.
I made that mistake with my first book, Strategy Sprints. It would be a terrible audiobook because it's like a cookbook. This is how you do
Right.
marketing, sales, hiring. Who wants to
Right.
listen to a cookbook?
Right. 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 And I think to your point, I think more and more books will be written with the thought of audio first.
I would do so, yes.
Yeah.
I love this. And it fits your philosophy, right? Meet the buyers where they're at.
Meet the buyer where they are. That's it.
Wonderful. Marcus, where can people find your book? Where can people find you?
Well, you can find the book at Amazon, endlesscustomers.com, Barnes and Noble. You can find me at LinkedIn. You can visit my website, marcussheridan.com. If you're interested in speaking, I go out to companies, do a lot of events and whatnot. Check out Price Guide at priceguide.ai.
You need a
So yeah,
pricing
those are the
calculator,
places.
guys.
I'm telling you, if you just want to 3x your leads, you do. But if you're totally fine with the leads that you're currently getting, then don't add it. Don't add it.
Go 3x, everyone. Thank you, Marcus, for being on the show. And please come back soon.
My pleasure.
Avoid trying to do thousands of things that doesn't work. We have 274 templates for your business success. Reach your ambitious goals with one-on-one sprint coach. We double your revenue in 90 days.
What if your business would run well even when you are on vacation? Discover how 1,600 business owners have regained their freedom using the Strategy Sprints blueprints. How they enjoy living their dream and watching their business scale. Get the exact checklists they use to go from stressed to fulfilled using the Strategy Sprints method. Order your copy of Strategy Sprints 12 Ways to Accelerate Growth for an Agile Business on Amazon today. And if you love it, leave us a review.